Hello in TV land. Oh, excuse me for a second. I just wanted to start that from the beginning. It's your boy, Freelancer Joe, here once again for the weekly Drinks with Joe. Well, actually, you'll have to excuse me while I go ahead and pour my drink. Alright, I'm going to do my very, very best to make sure that I stare. It's not polite to stare. That I will do my very best to look at the camera lens as opposed to looking at the viewfinder. Now, I could just flip the viewfinder down, but then I won't know when it's time for our intermission break. And we're still gonna have to do the intermission break because I still haven't bothered to look into how to set that timer correctly. But I kind of like the idea of having that intermission break because it lets me insert a little meme as well as gives me the chance to practice my video editing skills as they were. And yeah, I don't know if I really want to call them skills. More like, let's say, a chimp banging on the keyboard. But hey, it is what it is. So, just to recap, which is going to be a bit redundant, Drinks with Joe is a chance for you and me to catch up, relax, enjoy ourselves, and to recap the week. So that I can figure out, well, I can tally up what I've done and figure out if I'm moving in the right direction. Because as your old boy Freelancer Joe always says, you want to get somewhere, you got to figure out where you've been. That's not exactly, one, what I always say, and two, how I say it. I'm paraphrasing myself. Is that egomaniacal? Narcissistic? Well, if it is, it suits me just fine. So, as far as my freelancing activities have been transpiring, I have yet to hear back from my client, the Bella Music School, which is understandable. One, there's a lot of stuff that they're going to have to come up with. So I don't know if in the future I should also volunteer as somebody who generates content for my clients. That's a tricky proposition because I'm not consistently the creative type. And so the muse might not always be there for me. It's much easier for me if I have a base to work with. Then I can refine and adapt and improve upon. But just pulling things out of thin air, that's just not my forte. So yeah, and plus with school just starting, I take that moment to laugh at kids because I don't have to go to school anymore. And I do delight in the suffering of the children that are of age to go to school. Never claimed to be a great man. Well, I guess I could say I'm a great man. Great, but terrible. Never claimed to be an angel. There you go. I'd be a very swarthy looking angel. I'm an angel with machismo. But anyway, I'm not an angel, so right. So the Bella Music School has just started, so obviously, you know, they're gonna have kids coming in, being signed up for lessons by the parents and such, so they're gonna be real busy. And I also think that let me see, yeah, the Bella Music School is actually a side gig for them too, and they work as teachers in normal full schools, so it's probably going to be a while before they're able to get back to me, which is fine. So I, in the meanwhile, took the time to work on what I consider to be the infrastructure of my freelancer activities. If you've been watching my videos, you've seen that I've wired up my front end for my website to talk to an AWS Lambda. In this particular instance, it's for contact email, a contact form to send me an email. So that's obviously a really big stepping stone, because once I have that code together, then when clients need other things from my AWS, if they want to say that contact form, or they want database access or S3 access, that kind of thing, then I have the code pretty much there. I mean, I have to change the requests and handling of the response as well as what gets accessed, but I mean, that's not too hard. It's certainly more straightforward, I think, than laying the pipes, I guess you could say. You know, it's easier to change the faucet than it is to actually get the pipes that go to the faucet. Ooh. I'm really enjoying the 60 FPS thing. That's just watching me move. Kind of like that. What was that snake in the Jungle Book? Not that I'm nearly as sultry as Scarlett Johansson. Well, I mean, you know, in a certain light, from a certain perspective, I like to think that Freelancer Joe has his own particular suaveness, maybe even sultriness. Anyway, so back to my recap of freelancing. Yeah, so I've laid down the groundwork, I think. I'm really hoping that that should be sufficient. Let me see. So I have a utility class that actually makes the requests, and it supports a post and a get. In theory, it shouldn't be that difficult for any other changes, although, I mean, it depends on how pure I want to be. If I want to support the full REST API, and then yeah, I need to make additional ones. But on the other hand, you know, if you still just do a post with a value to the AWS API gateway, then, you know, it can pull from that. So it's, I guess it all depends on how, whether or not I want to be ideological or whether or not I want to be pragmatic. It's hard to say. Still, quite happy with that. Although I still, as far as the contact form goes, I need to, again, dig back into the actual email that gets sent. It's using the Amazon simple email service, and I just tell Amazon which email address to say it's from. But when it goes to my Gmail account, Google's smart enough to say, yeah, that's the email address doesn't look right because you're sending it to yourself. So either I update my spam filter, or, I mean, I can probably create, if Amazon has a simple email service, then obviously they probably have a way to set up an email address that is not going to trip the Gmail spam filters. Actually, no, this is an interesting point. So right now the email address I'm using is my Gmail contact or email address. So, I mean, I have the Freelancer Joe domain. It probably would be pretty cheap to just go ahead and have a joe@freelancerjoe.com email address. And that's more points of contact for me to remember. I'm professional, to be sure, and what most people are used to, but I don't know. I don't like having to constantly check all these different things. And to be fair, I mean, I think I'm, well, drastically overexposed considering the amount of things that I normally would check anyway. So, I don't know. I'll probably... Well, I can just set up an automated thing. Well, it is automated, but I mean just one of those no reply email address kind of types. And still use my Gmail account as my primary. Just something not to trick the spam filter, because I have to remember to check. If I deploy with it as it is, I would have to remember to check my spam filters. So, yeah. Alright, so that is... What is that? That's the... As far as the infrastructure goes, the pipeline. Okay. So what other infrastructure work have I done? Oh. Well, this is not infrastructure work. But if you're hearing a slight buzzing noise, or what sounds like a buzz, it's actually the fan of my laptop, because it's working hard, or hardly working. Nah, it's working hard. I'm doing some encoding of media files. Your boy Freelancer Joe very much does like... I see, I did it. I looked at the viewfinder. I saw that. Freelancer Joe does very much like physical copies of media. So I've been very resistant there. Very resistant to purchasing digital only copies. For various reasons. I mean, one, how do you know whoever is maintaining that digital copy will always be around? Two, I mean, they might just, especially the way things go nowadays, I mean, you know, somebody says something and then they get blacklisted and all the stuff they've done just goes down the rabbit hole. And you paid the money for it, but now it's gone. And what are you going to do? Two, well, in the apartment here, the internet access has been very good. Knocking on wood. I mean, but what happens if internet goes down? You know, can't stream stuff if the network's down. That's why physical copies are pretty good. And I guess three is, you know, just to have stuff. I mean, even if you never watch the movie again, at least you still have that disc. I mean, it's only worth pennies, but it's still something. You can use it as a coaster or a frisbee or something, I don't know. Anyway, so I am actually, however, going digital for a lot of things. And this is me archiving it right now. The reason being, I mean, all the things I've stated before still stand. But the biggest reason is, well, should your boy Freelancer Joe decide to relocate, the less stuff in his possession, the easier it will be. Oh, and I did just look up now, and that's because I'm looking at the timer, and it looks like it's about time for our intermission break. So we will take that break, and I will hope you join me right back. I don't have a wording for that just yet. Be back in a sec. Alright, and we're back. Well, I'm back. I don't know if you're back. Or even if you're there to begin with. I feel so alone. No, I don't actually. Oh, see, I bet you my voice dropped on that one. No, Freelancer Joe's very much the the introvert, the lone wolf. I actually generally don't feel alone all that too often, even though I spend most of my life alone. I don't necessarily enjoy social. Obviously, based on how I speak, I don't generally enjoy social interactions, but I am still human, so I do like to see people every now and then. I mean, not how most people think see, as in, go see someone, say, hey, how you doing? Just to see somebody out there is like, okay, that's good enough for me. Maybe just an irrational fear of a zombie apocalypse or something like that. Anyway, let's see, where were we before we left off? Oh yes, I was rambling about my negative disposition towards online media, streaming in general, digital copies versus physical copies. But before that, I was still talking about the infrastructure work that I did. And what I had finished talking about was at least the AWS portion, having my front end talk to AWS, as well as having something in AWS that actually does something. I mean, the next steps for that would be expanding the types of things I do. Right now, it's just the Lambda that accesses the simple email service, but clearly there's much more that can be done. We've got a Lambda that accesses S3, or a Lambda that does DynamoDB stuff, or any of the other database stuff. Would need incognito for user management, all sorts of things. I'm probably not going to delve into some of the heavier things, like Kinesis or Firehose. I definitely don't want to maintain servers or anything like that. So EC2 and Route, well, I end up doing Route 53 just for the domain name stuff. So I can't really avoid that, but yeah, dealing with CloudWatch, forget that. Those logs, nasty. But they do provide the information if you're willing to dig through it. Well, set it up and dig through it. Anyway, so that's AWS. But other infrastructure work that I did, and I'm quite proud of this one, is that I started working on templates. Because my services page, when I upload the latest version of my website /UI, I list under my services that I can create a website based on my templates. Of course, I didn't have any templates when I put that in there, but now I do. I have a very, well, one is, it's a simple one, and I call it UI Template Pure, because it's a clean layout. It's 4 views, and just to show you, using the old noggin here, it was actually based off of the original work that I did for Bella Music School, which was the first version. When they gave me their thoughts on what they wanted, they wanted something clean and light and simple, and that's what I did. But apparently it was a little too clean and light or simple. Actually, I think what it is they saw something else that was had a little more oomph, and that's the way they wanted to go. But I like this template because, I mean, if you just want to throw something up there and you don't want to spend, too much time thinking about things, or digging through for images, generating content, it's a pretty good one. And so I developed that. I haven't uploaded it yet. And actually I was going to do that today, but so if you see any bags under my eyes, I'm running a little ragged right now because, well, I woke up feeling good. I mean, full of energy, really ready to pop. But when I started working, I got a whole bunch of NPM errors, and it turns out that they had the folks at NPM, I'm not going to assume their gender, So, well, but if I say folks, then I assume they're species. The entities over at NPM JS, beings. I don't know if that's inclusive enough. Anyway, generic things at NPM. They had done a what is it? They changed their DNS provider or whatever, and it jacked everything up. Yeah, a lot of network problems this week. I mean, network issues. If you watched my Destiny or my Gaming with Joe episode yesterday, you saw that the Destiny Bungie servers are all jacked up, and then NPM, they had a DNS configuration issue, and so I spent like an hour trying to figure out if there was something wrong on my end, and then I went to their site and saw that they had something on their end, and that just kind of wore me out. So yeah, that was a bummer, but they did actually finally resolve it. I think just a little bit before lunch, actually. And then I ran through. So I had done that template pure stuff work on my other laptop. So what I wanted to do was pull it to this laptop to see if everything was worked out fine. And once that whole DNS thing was sorted out, yeah, it came out just fine. So I came up with the notes for that, and then I figured out. So that was one template, and I had an idea for another template. Well, I'm slurring now. Yeah, I'm slurring now. The drink's kicking in. So I had an idea for another template, and this was based on the current work that I'm doing for Bell Music School, which involves the parallax effect. So what I wanted to do was take that initial pure template and then fork off of it using GitHub speak, and then use it as the basis for the parallax template, and then complete the parallax template. As it turns out, you can't fork something that you own in GitHub, but you can clone it. So I cloned that repo and then figured out how to. Or I cloned the UI template pure, figured out how to then link this clone into a different repository, which I call UI template parallax. And then I added the parallax library and kind of got a very little bit of the parallax effect up. Actually, no, I did get the parallax effect up. And so I have one template and sort of have a second template. I still need to do more adjustments on the parallax template, but I figured out the harder part. The hardest part. I figured it out. I haven't actually implemented the code changes necessary for it. But if you looked at the Bell Music School, you saw that I still had the top bar with the navigation, and then the parallax bar, and then the content. And what I wanted to do for the parallax template was to have the title of the website up on top, nice big bold letters, maybe an icon, and then have the menu bar within the parallax effect itself. And I had messed around with the transforms, because we're using CSS transforms to scale it and move the labels, the labels, the words that you see in the parallax into the center. And the damnedest thing is can't figure it out. The 3D stuff in general, it's always been an issue for me figuring out. Yeah, I should have known that ever since I took computer graphics, CS 435 in college. Never could quite grok that stuff. It's just, I mean, matrix transformations and all that jazz. It just never clicked. Maybe if I went back now and took the class again, it would work. Oh, hold on a second. I just finished encoding this. Wait, let me rename this. Okay, that's good. Good. Yeah, ideally I would do this in the background while I was doing other things. like working on my templates. But unfortunately, the video encoding process is quite intensive. I mean, it's actually the same thing that happens when my video editing studio generates my videos, so it's not surprising. And what I'm encoding is much longer than my normal video that I upload to YouTube. Right, so where was I? Oh yeah. Computer graphics, CS435. The stories I have about that one. But you know, I mean, maybe I couldn't grok it then, but it might be one of those things where if I go back now and take it, it would click. It reminds me of recursive loops. I mean, in college, recursive loops, I just always struggled with them. Just always struggled with them. And then it was like a couple years later working in the field, and then I came across a problem that needed, or that a recursive loop would be the best solution, and I was like, and I tried it, and then it just was like, oh, okay, yeah, right, that. It just clicked. So it might be the same thing with computer graphics. Hard to say. But anyway, this is all just me saying that, oh yeah, the positioning of the menu bar. Well, so instead of trying to use the menu bar, trying to figure out how to position the menu bar within the parallax component, I was like, you know, I could just have the that menu bar render above the parallax component and then just shift it down. Yeah, the simplest solution. Surprisingly, most often the best solution. And it works so much better too when you think about it. Well, one, it works, so that's like the most important thing, is that it works. And two, since it's not a very, what's the term I'm looking for? Esoteric solution. I mean, it's literally just, literally? I don't want to overuse that word, but yeah. I mean, it's just changing the margin bottom element to make sure that it gets pushed down enough. So I don't see how, even if they change, as they update browsers, how they're going to mess that up unless they change the entire CSS spec. But, so I've got most of the difficult things, as far as I'm concerned, with my next template worked out. So I need to go ahead and refine it, revise it, and get it all together. And so now when somebody wants, plus by having my parallax template a clone of my pure template, I know how to clone the templates. So when a client comes along and says, I want this template, well, then I know I can just clone the template, link it to a new repo, and boom, I'm good. So then after I finish the template, though, I still need to take a screenshot of it, because I need to link those templates into my website. So I need to finish the second template, parallax. I need to upload both of them to AWS and make sure that they're exposed, so I have a link. Then I take a screenshot and the link and add those to my personal website UI, upload my personal website UI, and then I will have everything I need, I hope, to start bidding. But it looks like we're almost out of time again. I don't want this thing to cut off, so I'm going to wrap it up now. And thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed yourself, or at least enjoyed your drink, whatever your choice of poison was. And I hope you will join me next time, which is tomorrow, as I think I'll be working more on that infrastructure. Or maybe I'll have it finished off. Or maybe my client will have work for me. You never know. And that's why you gotta check in. Or maybe you'll just take pity on me to check in. Either way, thanks for joining me. Cool Kid Spiel. Like, subscribe, comment, suggest. Take care, and God bless.